Okay, I just want to. Good. I just want to thank the sponsors, Talia Nitai Barish, Lila Nishmash Talia's grandmother, Yetta Malka Bas Menachem Mendel, and Sandy and Sid Goldschmidt, Lezecher Nishmash Sid's grandfather, Meir Ben Shalom Zev, Ben Shlomo Zev, the Shamash Havin Aliyah. Oh. That's right. Okay, good. Shamash Havin Aliyah. So we were holding by the story that Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, and then after we left off, we saw it in Hasara Harugei Malchus in the Shmoneh Esrei in Yom Kippur, in the Amidah of Yom Kippur, in the Chazar Sashatz Yom Kippur, that Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava was tortured, and the background to when he was tortured was he ran away when there was a Gzeira, not to give Semicha, and he took 5 Talmidim and he ran with them. And he gave them smicha outside the tchum of the city, and he told the boys to run, the Talmidim to run, and he stood there. And just fascinating line of the Gemara says he was punctured by all of the arrows, right? V'asu kekvara, and he became a sieve, unfortunately. And the Gemara says. I'm not running, and I'm going to be like a stone that does not budge. So the Maharsha says something unbelievable. The Maharsha says what he meant by that is that I am not going to run away as if I'm in pain. Right? The Maharsha says, you turn to the Maharsha, the second Maharsha, the Chiddushei Agadah, listen to the Lashon if you don't have it. I'm not going to turn around my neck to run away. Rather, hineni muto lifneim lekabel hamisa. I'm standing here ready to be mekabel the misa. Me'ava, with ava. So what's the even? The even is beli hergish. I don't feel the pain. Ke'even hazeh she'eino margish. So the Maharsha doesn't explain, but if I remember, I saw this years ago. I believe that there is a tashbeitz. This is quoted by the Mekubalim. There's a tashbeitz that a person who dies, a tzaddik who dies, al kiddush Hashem, when he's totally moser his guf to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he doesn't feel it. That's exactly what the Pshat the Maharsha is saying in Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava is. He says, no, don't worry about me. I'm an Evan over here. I don't have to run away. I'm going to be killed. I don't have to run away. I don't feel what they're feeling, because a person who is in such a high level and is totally Meiser Nefesh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he has that ability to become an Evan. So this Pshat of the Maharsha fits very much with that Tashbetz. Yeah. Oh, so why did he do it? Why did he do it? Why wasn't he Meiser Nefesh? Right, so it had to be that he thought that he wasn't going to make it. You're saying, but then, right. I don't know. If he has the option to get out, he's mechuyev to try to get out. You're not allowed to give up your life. Yeah. Yeah. Because there wasn't anything gained by the fact that he was killed. But the Maharsha, I think, was just bothered. What did he mean by the Evan? So he was telling his Talmidim, which could have also helped with their guilt, that they probably. Yeah, but they were like, we can't leave Rebbe here. How are we going to leave him? And he said, and they see him getting punctured, and he says, don't worry, I'm a stone, I'm a rock, and like that Tashbetz, that's what it means, because there's a certain level of Mesiras Nefesh that you don't feel the pain of the Hariga. Good. So the Gemara was presenting that Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava was masmich and gave smicha to 5 of his Talmidim. So the Gemara asks, how could it be? For Reb Meir, this is the last word on the line. It's Tosos V'Rebbe, exactly. It's Reb Meir is the last words on line. Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda ben Bava Samche. Is it accurate that Reb Yehuda ben Bava was the one who gave smicha to Reb Meir? Anyone who tainas that Reb Meir did not give, that Reb Akiva was not the one who was masmich Rabbi Akiva was not the masmich Reb Meir, is making a tolos. So it wasn't true that Reb Yehuda ben Bava was the one who gave smicha to Reb Meir. It was Rabbi Akiva who gave smicha to Reb Meir. So the Gemara says, Samche Rabbi Akiva v'loi kiblu, Samche Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava v'kiblu. So the Gemara says, you're right, there were two attempts for him to get smicha. The first one didn't work out. When Rabbi Akiva tried to give Rabbi Meir smicha, it didn't work out. Why? V'loi kiblu, it wasn't accepted. He didn't accept it. Why? Says Rashi in the third line, Fishadayin hayabacher. So this is apparently a raya, a mucker, that you have to be a certain age. We don't have a Gemara that tells us this. What is the age? We have a din that you have to be 18 to get a license. The Gemara never tells us how old you have to be to get smicha. So there's some from this Agadata. It sounds like that there is certain age. The Torah writes that you have to be 18 to be a dayan. So it could be that this is his mucker, that the age that it didn't work out for Rabbi Akiva smicha was because he was too young. So later on, Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, and this story, when he ran to the hills, that was when it worked out. He was an older age, and he was masmich Rabbi Meir. Amr B'Shuv ben Levi. So comes along the Gemara and says a new din. Amr B'Shuv ben Levi, B'Shuv ben Levi says, Ein smicha b'chutz la'aretz. Smicha does not work in Galus, in chutz la'aretz. But the Gemara is not sure what that means. My ein smicha. What does it mean that smicha does not have its effects in chutz la'aretz? If you want to tell me that the courts don't work in chutz la'aretz, it's not true. But Sanhedrin, no, I guess being be'eretz, being b'chutz la'aretz. The Sanhedrin has the ability to what? To exist both in Eretz Yisrael and in chutz la'aretz. So it can't mean that the actual courts don't exist in chutz la'aretz. Rather, ela deloy samchinen b'chutz la'aretz. No, what it means is the actual process of smicha, granting a person rabbanos, does not exist in chutz la'aretz. So now the Gemara says, the Gemara is qualifying that it doesn't mean that the dayanim and the bezdin don't exist in chutz la'aretz. It means to grant the authority of the rabbanos, that doesn't exist in chutz la'aretz. That process has to exist in Eretz Yisrael. So the Gemara wants to declare, what's that? What does that mean? Pshita saimchin b'chutz la'aretz unismachin ba'aretz. I understand if the Rav and the person that's carrying the smicha, the Talmud from Moshe Rabbeinu, who is a samach himself, who now has authority, he has smicha, ish mi pi ish miad Moshe Rabbeinu, he has the authority to continue the chain. He's got to be in Eretz Yisrael. So frak the Gemara Kasha, that I know. Saimchin b'chutz la'aretz v'nismachin ba'aretz. If the saimchin are in chutz la'aretz and the nismachin are in Eretz, that I understand that's no good. Hamrina deloy, that I understand that doesn't work. Ela saimchin ba'aretz v'nismachin b'chutz la'aretz mai. But what happens is the klal that we were saying, ein smicha, ela be'eretz Yisrael, does that go on not only, the Gemara says, avade goes on the masmich, avade goes on the one with the authority, who's granting the authority from Moshe Rabbeinu, but does it also go on the recipient? Does it also go on the one who's actually gaining the title of now becoming a samach, that he can't be in chutz la'aretz as well? Mai. So the Gemara is not sure. Toshma. The Rabbi Yochanan have a mitztar alei, the Rav Shaman bar Abba, the loy have a gabayu delismichi. Reb Shimon ben Zered v'chad di'imei, umon Reb Yosem ben Achmai, v'amr le Reb Yonasan ben Achmai, v'chad di'imei, umon Reb Shimon ben Zered, chad have a gabayu samchiyu, v'chad loy have a gabayu loy samchu. So what's the Gemara's raya? So the Gemara's raya is that since it wasn't gabayu lemismichi, so therefore what? So therefore you see that the area of not only the masmich is crucial, but the area of the nismach is crucial, which means something fascinating. Smicha, which I would have thought of before this Gemara, I would have thought, who is the major player when it comes to giving over a smicha? It's the person who carries the authority. It's the person who's granting the smicha. It's the person who's karring me, like we learned in the last Gemara, karri oisei Rebbe. He's the one who's granting that psak, that klaf, whatever you're getting. That is the, where does that have to be? That has to be in Eretz Yisrael. That has to be in Eretz Yisrael. So make sure the Rav that's granting it, it is in Eretz Yisrael. So the Gemara, no, we see from the story that from the fact that he wasn't around, the guy wasn't around, it wasn't good. So there's a raya that what? That both smicha and the nismach, the masmich and the nismach have to both be in Eretz Yisrael. That's the maskonas haGemara.
Smicha is a physical putting of hands?
Oh, so the Gemara, if you remember the last Gemara we did, which was a while ago, the Gemara thought that for a fleeting second. But then the Gemara said, because the Gemara learned from Moshe Rabbeinu to Yoshua, and then the Gemara said, no, but it doesn't seem to be that you actually need it, rather Kara also Rebbe. But the Gemara did think for a second that that's what it meant, but it's la halacha, it's not like that. Good. So
how would it happen that the two are, that the Talmud is or who's the recipient is going to be in a different spot?
why not?
Yeah, right.
Again, the Gemara is clearing a shaila. Smicha, so honestly, I would have said, let the Rabbanim go into an office and let them discuss who deserves smicha, and then they'll call it. What does that have to do with me? You'll let me know what happened. Was I matzliach or not, or did I fail? But the chiddush of the Gemara is that no, where you are, the recipient also sounds like there is some status that's changing, a minui hagavra, like we spoke about in the past, that makes you part and parcel of the process. It's not just like, you're good, we're going to choose you. It's that, do you accept this? And we're actually crowning you, and you have to be here to be crowned, and it matters where you are. But what's not clear in the Gemara is the following. The Gemara starts off with the following shaila. Does the masmich have to be in Eretz Yisrael? That for sure. But does the nismach also have to be in Eretz Yisrael? Good. What's the Gemara's raya? Toshma, deloy have a gabayu. What does that mean, deloy have a gabayu? That doesn't tell me Eretz Yisrael. That tells me, even within Eretz Yisrael, I can't be in Tel Aviv and you're in Yerushalayim. There's a matzav of both being in Eretz Yisrael and not being gabayu. But if the suffix of the Gemara was what? The Gemara's suffix, according to the answer of the Gemara, should have been what? Do you have to be in the same office? Do you have to be gabayu in order to receive smicha? That wasn't the suffix of the Gemara. The suffix of the Gemara is ein smicha b'chutz la'aretz. Is that going on the masmich, or is it also going on the nismach? The way the Gemara presents that suffix is that as long as, if I would just have that line of the Gemara, I would say, okay, but what are you sure about? As long as both of us are in Eretz Yisrael and meet the credentials of Eretz Yisrael, then what? Even if we're not connected, even if we're not in the same city, the same town, the smicha works. But the answer of the Gemara doesn't sound like that. The raya of the Gemara sounds like you need much more than just Eretz Yisrael versus Chutz La'aretz. You need gabayu mamish. So listen, this is a machlokes rishonim.
What's the lashon on the stire? He was upset about it, as opposed to like lo samchid kim lo hagabah.
I think he was upset about it. It's like a Talmud.
He was more emphatic about it. If you can't do it, he was upset. He wanted it for
It never worked out. It never worked out. It never worked out. He wanted to give it. Yeah. Yeah. I think it bothered him. The Rebbe's like a father.
No, I know. It doesn't. He made him think about like the why he was making. He wanted to be there for it.
Ah.
He could have just said like he could not have been masmid him because he was not supposed to use the stire. Just in stire.
Meaning, I think the opportunity. There's so many opportunities that happen, and he was for so long wanted to give him smicha, and it just bothered him. So let's see the lashon of Rashi.
Can you touch gabayu to mean in Eretz Yisrael?
I don't know. Can you?
Gabayu mean dafka in the room with him?
Doesn't it sound like that? Gabayu? you want to say Gabayu means in the general sense.
He was
Means
here in Eretz Yisrael.
and means he's one of the guys. He's one of the Bnei Yisrael. I hear it. It's interesting. So listen to Rashi. Ha'amran deloi, sagt Rashi, de ein smicha b'chutz la'aretz, v'keven di hava gaban hacha loy matzina l'misluche kol shekein hecha delesa gaban. So Rashi adds in, and even if he was in front of us, but he was in chutz la'aretz, it wouldn't work. Kol shekein hecha delesa gaban. So also when he's not, he's in chutz la'aretz and he's all the way in America, avad, it's not going to work. So clearly you see Rashi's going that what? That there's another factor in the Gemara, that it's not just Chutz La'aretz versus Eretz Yisrael, but rather that there's a two-party process. And there's actually a person nearby that's receiving the smicha. Soimchen be'eretz v'nismachem b'chutz la'aretz mai. Im ha-soimech oimid be'eretz v'ha-nismach oimid be'bavel. V'lesa gabe soimech. And he's not by the soimech, zokt Rashi. Mimahani ki'ilu isa gabe b'shas smicha u'motzel l'meidan b'chutz la'aretz k'distan sanedrin noigim b'chutz la'aretz oidilma kevin the lesa gabe b'shas smicha loy mahani lei. So Rashi clearly says that what? That there's a halacha in this Gemara, even though the original suffix of the Gemara does not sound like this. Rashi clearly learned that it wasn't only Chutz La'aretz and Eretz Yisrael based. There's one halacha that it has to be in Eretz Yisrael. Both of us have to be in Eretz Yisrael. But there's an additional halacha, Dr. Rashi, that he also has to be Gabe the Samich. He has to be connected, and there's a two-person process. He's delivering, you're receiving, you're acquiescing, and you're accepting. But that does not seem to be Shitas HaRambam. If you look at the sheet, the Rambam paskins as follows. Ein soimchin skenim. And by the way, Jerome, it could be that Rashi held like this because of the pattern after Moshe Rabbeinu to Yoshua. I mean, that was the Iker Smicha. That was the source of Smicha, and there was Gabon. There was a two-party process. Ad kadei kach that he actually was able to put his hands on his head in that Smicha, so therefore there was a svara that it has to be near him. It was in Eretz Yisrael. Oh, it was in Eretz Yisrael. That's true. But there was no Eretz Yisrael. There was no Eretz Yisrael left. Yeah, that's true. It's a good aura. It's a very right.
Yeah. So. But it's not the same. No. What do you mean?
So we'll get to there in a second. We'll get to there in a second. Excellent aura. Give me 10 minutes. So the Rambam says as follows: Ein soimchen skenim bechutz la'aretz. V'afal pi she'ilu ha-soimchen nismuchu be'eretz, she'ilu ha-soimchen nismuchu be'eretz, afilu hayu ha-soimchen be'eretz, v'ha-nismach chutz la'aretz, ein soimchen. What do you need? Zok the Gemara, you need both the soimech and the nismach, the not only the giver but also the recipient, to be in Eretz Yisrael. V'ein tzarech lomar em hayu ha-soimchen b'chutz la'aretz, and avada, like the Gemara says, that if the soimchen, the person who's delivering, is in a chutz la'aretz, is not going to work, v'ha-nismachim ba'aretz. Hayu shneim ba'aretz, zok the Rambam, soimchen oisai. Huh? Nothing about what? Being near each other. Afal pi she'eino ima smuch asoimchen b'makom echad. So the Rambam clearly writes beferish against Rashi. Says there is no halacha of a process, of a party talking to another party, of a duality in the process. Rather, there's a chalois. It has to be chal in Eretz Yisrael. Everyone who's there has to be in Eretz Yisrael. But not that at all. The Gemara never meant to say that there has to be a connection. V'haraya l'chayr, the pashup pshat is, because the Gemara's suffix was Eretz Yisrael versus Chutz La'aretz. If the Gemara's suffix was Gabayu, it should have asked, Iba inan Gabayu or Ilay inan Gabayu. Ela sheikhen loy, we send it to him, oy koisven loy shu samach, we notify him, we give him a klaf. We give him permission to be done dinei knasos whole v'shneim b'aretz, since both of them are in Eretz Yisrael. Zok the Rambam, unbelievable last phrase. V'chol Eretz Yisrael she'echziku ba'olim Mitzrayim ru'uya l'smicha. Zok the Rambam, and what do I mean by Eretz Yisrael? What I mean by Eretz Yisrael is any area that they inhabited in the Zman of Yoshua when they were oile from Mitzrayim.
Including the,
Basically, what?
including the Verda.
Yeah, basically calling what, including Ever Yarden, is totally on our what was year was that? The Ran and Rashi with Rabbi Brown, with the Meiri, with the Rekiva Eger on Daf Yud, whether or not Ever Yarden you could bring Hakravas Oimer. That was that good. But Dr. Rambam, what's Eretz Yisrael? Eretz Yisrael was where Am Yisrael went when they came up from Mitzrayim. Good? Horrible. The Rambam Paskins in Hilchos Trumas, in Hilchos Chala, in Hilchos Shvius, Kedusha Rishayna was loy kitchel alas lava. The Rambam Paskins that the only thing that has Kedusha is what? Eretz Yisrael's Kedusha is what? Is Kibush Shniya, not Kibush Rishayna. So why is the Rambam telling us that Eretz Yisrael is Oile Mitzrayim? This is a steerer to the Rambam Shita. This is not correct. The Rambam... So that's exactly what the Radvaz points out over here. So the Radvaz points out something that we've pointed out in the past few shiurim. And the Kesef Mishnah, the first time we pointed it out was way back when, probably a year ago, on Daf Heyam and Aleph, not more, when the Gemara says he got Rishus in Eretz Yisrael, even though the Gemara says it wasn't going to help for Bavel. So the Gemara says, why is he getting Rishus if it's not going to help for him to go to Bavel? So the Gemara, the reason he did that was La'ayaros ha'omdin ala gvulim. He wanted it for the areas on the border. So the Kesef Mishnah on this Rambam says, the Rambam knew from that Gemara the fact that you're going to have Semicha and Netilas Rishus, which the Rambam Shita might be that they're interchanged, it's very similar. So Semicha is something that's relevant for not only Eretz Yisrael proper, but rather Omdin ala Gvulim, even outside the normal Eretz Yisrael, even areas that are on the barrier. This is not necessarily totally on the classic Eretz Yisrael. And look at what the Radvaz says. The Chol Eretz Yisrael, the second Radvaz, Afal pishaloi hichziku ba oilei bavel, Afal gav de eina ke Eretz Yisrael le'inyan trumas u'maisrus, u'liktzas dvarim zafrek the Radvaz, even though the Rambam Paskins for Kedushas ha'aretz, oilei Mitzrayim does not help, and all of these areas would not be included in areas that have Shvius and Shemitah and Trumas and Maisris. Says the Radvaz, uliktsas dvarim le'inyan minoi smuchin hakolhu Eretz Yisrael. For certain halachas that pertain to Eretz Yisrael, that are not agricultural halachas, that are totally in Kedushas ha'aretz, but rather based on some other Eretz Yisrael name, then this type of Eretz Yisrael is what the pivotal area is. V'chein le'inyan hadar be'Eretz Yisrael, u'le'inyan hanikbar ba, u'le'shar kedushas Eretz Yisrael, dinam shava u'kvar hirich b'zeh b'sefer kaftor v'ferach. Says the kaftor v'ferach that there is another type of Eretz Yisrael for limited halachas outside of Kedushas Haaretz. You're right. For Kedushas Haaretz, for Trumas and Maisers, for agricultural halachas, then it's totally on Kibush Yachid or Kibush Shniya. That was not endowed from the original Kibush. But there was what Reb Shmuel Rozovsky calls in the beginning of Maseches Gittin, Eretz HaMuftachas. There was a land that was granted in next week's Parsha, Parshas Lech Lecha, that already had borders, larger borders than the Olei Bavel, the Kibush Sheni, actually had, which was granted of Olei Mitzrayim, and that was the bris that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to Avram Avinu, that this is going to be Eretz HaMuftachas. This is going to be the land that you're going to inherit. Oh, so now, what's an Afkamina once the first Bayis HaMikdash was destroyed? Who cares what the Haftacha of the Rebbeinu Shalom giving to Avram Avinu? The answer is there are certain halachas, the non-agricultural halachas. Smicha will be totally on those boundaries. Egla Rufa, we'll see, will be totally on those boundaries. Kvura, the Kaftor Vaferach says, it's a mitzvah to be nikbar in Eretz Yisrael. What happens if I want to be nikbar in, I don't know, Eilat? Something like that in the Shem Eretz Yisrael, and not the I don't know, is Eilat in the, no, Eilat's out of everything. Okay. I want to give me an area.
What? That is
That's part of the first Olam Mitzrayim and not part of
Beer Sheva.
Beer Sheva. Good. Beer Sheva. So I want to be buried in Beer Sheva. So the Kafta Referach holds that's Kvur in Eretz Yisrael. Or, what we discussed on Daf Hey, we discussed this question of Aliyah Eretz Yisrael. Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Is Yishuv Eretz Yisrael totally on Kedushas Haaretz? Or Yishuv Eretz Yisrael totally on Shem Eretz Yisrael? So I pointed out that there's a Machlokes, Tosfos, and the Ramban in Gittin and Daf Beis and Aleph, whether or not the halacha of Aliyah Eretz Yisrael, Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, does that follow Kedushas Eretz Yisrael? Tosfos was very bothered. Tosfos at the beginning of Gittin says, I don't understand, there's theories all over. Did Akku have Kedusha or did Akku not have Kedusha? Some Gemaras said Akku has Kedusha. Other areas of the Gemara say Akku don't have Kedusha. So Tosfos says Akku was split in half. Some areas did, some areas didn't. Says the Ramban, there's no problem. One area is talking Kedushas Haaretz Legabi Mitzvahs Hatluyos Ba'aretz, and one area is talking about Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. There's no stira. The Ramban followed this Kafta Referach. There's a Shem Eretz Yisrael. There's a Kedushas Eretz Yisrael. One Eretz Yisrael is what was granted to Avraham Avinu, and one Eretz Yisrael was what has Kedushas Eretz Yisrael.
So Avraham, we have Eretz Yisrael because of the risk of Avraham, but that's the Shem Eretz Yisrael.
Exactly.
It required the Kedusha.
It didn't have Kedusha yet. Exactly. Right. Correct. Now,
if it's going to be conquered,
what?
there's a potential. That's a potential, right? It's always a potential.
It was conquered.
Kufat David, the man.
It was conquered.
So is that
But
considered?
it doesn't, what do you mean?
David conquered it, but it wasn't Milchemet Chovat, Milchemet Rashut.
He still has the ability to Makdish, as long as it's Kibush Rabbim.
Where does it fall? Is that falls into? Can you extend the
What?
original?
Yeah, for sure. The halach, the Gemara in Gittin on Daf Ches says Kibush Rabbim Shmei Kibush. Now, he needs the Urim B'Tumim. He needs Sanhedrin. You need a Melech, and it has to be not. The Gemara says if David HaMelech just rolled over, decided, well, I want to conquer this, and I decided on my own, that's called Kibush Yachid. So the Gemara has one day a Kibush Yachid Shmei Kibush, but we paskin Kibush Yachid Loi Shmei Kibush. And there's a Machlokes Rishonim how to understand what does it mean Kibush Yachid, Kibush Rabbim. Tosfos understands and getting there that he went out of order or whatever it is. He has some sort of.
For those agricultural.
No, that's kibush. That's kibush. That's kibush. That's kedusha. But for Shem Eretz Yisrael, that never changes. That was Avram Avinu. Now, Rav Soloveitchik, when he created this parsha, this called Rav Soloveitchik, never pinned it on specifically Avram Avinu. He also had this phrase. Rav Shmuel Rozovsky, I found, has this Eretz Hamuftachas from Shem Eretz Yisrael. Rav Soloveitchik said that it also was something that was given to Avram Avinu. But my question was, Rav Soloveitchik also said that he thinks Tumas Eretz Ha'amimim is also dependent on Shem Eretz Yisrael and not on Kedushas Eretz Yisrael. Namely, Be'er Sheva, okay? There is a halacha that living in Chutz La'aretz, ad kedei kach that I hate to break it to you, Rabbi Kiva Eger is not 100% sure why a kohen is allowed to live in Chutz La'aretz. Rabbi Kiva Eger has different sniffim that he tries to put together in order to be matzdik. But, what? The problem is there's a tumah in Chutz La'aretz. Tumas Eretz Ha'amimim. Said Rav Soloveitchik that he thinks Tumas Eretz Ha'amimim is not a function of kibush, of Kedushas Haaretz for agriculture and mitzvahs. It's a function of Shem Eretz Yisrael. Now, when I saw Rav Soloveitchik, before I get into how he proved that, let's just take that as a given. That's something that's not linked to kibush or linked to kibush. So I had the following idea. What created Tumas Eretz Ha'amimim? Yana Diyayma. The Mabul. The Mabul mixed up Mesim all around, and everything went crazy, and therefore there's Tumah all over the land. You'll ask me, so why not Eretz Yisrael? So it's a Gemara in Zvachim. The Gemara in Zvachim tells us on Daf Kuf Yudalid Amid Aleph, Machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish, whether or not the Mabul existed in Eretz Yisrael. This week's parsha. Rabbi Yochanan holds the Mabul did not exist in Eretz Yisrael. The Mabul existed everywhere else in the world except for Eretz Yisrael. So Im Kain, it comes out, if that's all correct. So what I'm suggesting right now is that this concept of Shem Eretz Yisrael might have only been relevant to us as Am Yisrael once Avram Avinu was granted this gift. But this already existed, this Shem Eretz Yisrael already existed prior to Avram Avinu. This already existed in the chefza of being Shem Eretz Yisrael. There was a concept of Shem Eretz Yisrael already prior in this week's parsha, Parshas Noach. V'haraya, there wasn't a Mabul in Chutz La'aretz and there wasn't Tumas Eretz Ha'amim. Where were the borders of that area? So if Soloveitchik is right, the borders of that area was Olam Mitzrayim, the Shem Eretz Yisrael that's going to exist for all these halachas that don't pertain to agricultural mitzvahs. So it's that halacha that's relevant, our parsha, the first halacha that was relevant to the Shem Eretz Yisrael versus Kedusha's Eretz Yisrael is the halacha of Tumas Eretz Ha'amim, which is based on that Gemara in Zvachim, whether or not there was a Mabul in Eretz Yisrael or in Chutz La'aretz. What?
Nobody died in Eretz Yisrael?
I don't think so. Yeah, there was no Mabul.
So what, there's other survivors?
What is Reish Lakish?
I don't know if anyone lived there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
What is Reish Lakish saying?
Rish Lakish holds there was. Rish Lakish holds there was. And a Chanami. I'm assuming like Rabbi Yochanan in this Hezbollah. The Gemara goes back and forth trying to prove Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish says, you think that there was no Mabul in Eretz Yisrael, how you can explain this, how you can explain that? That's the whole Shakavatari in the Gemara in Zvach. Fascinating Gemara. But if you accept all those Hanachas, it sounds like this week's Parsha was actually the first nafkamina between in this halacha about Shem Eretz Yisrael. But whatever it is, however you slice it, you see that there are many different functions of Eretz Yisrael that are not necessarily pertaining to the Kedushas Haaretz. Now, the question a person has to ask themselves is, why are these halachas unique? Why should these halachas be Tali and Shem Eretz Yisrael? And what does Shem Eretz Yisrael mean without the Kedushas Haaretz? Isn't Eretz Yisrael only chashiv and only unique because it has Kedushas Haaretz? Outside of the world of Kedushas Haaretz, what is Shem Eretz Yisrael? So Rabbi say this gets back to something we've reiterated many, many times in Hilchas Ibra Hashana and throughout the Masechta. There is a tshuva in the Avnei Nezer, and Soloveitchik, or Moshe Soloveitchik always used to say, Eretz Yisrael, when it comes to knowing about whether or not majority of the people made a sin and have to bring a special korban, a par elam davar shel tzibur, how do you evaluate who's in Eretz Yisrael, who's part of Klal Yisrael, who's not part of Klal Yisrael? As sad as it is for us, Rabbi Yisai, it's not us. We are considered yechidim. We are not a tzibur. The tzibur is only people that are living in Eretz Yisrael. People in Eretz Yisrael are the ones representing Am Yisrael. If the tzibur is the one that's representing Am Yisrael, so when there are certain halachas that are connected to the tzibur of Am Yisrael, so that has to be in Eretz Yisrael. An Eretz Yisrael not of agriculture, an Eretz Yisrael that represents the first tzibur. What's the first tzibur? Avram Avinu talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that you're going to have Knesset Yisrael, and you're going to be Av Hamon Goyim. You're going to be the father of the Jewish nation. And that's a halacha that's unique to Eretz Yisrael. And that's why Ibra Hashana has to be in Eretz Yisrael. That's why Semicha has to be in Eretz Yisrael, because these are going to be the leaders of Am Yisrael. Good? So just to quickly finish.
So Lech was very upset with Rabbi Goren, who said
Yeah. What did he say? Yeah.
he said that Goren thought that the kibush destroys also Shemus.
Right. I remember Rabbi Schechter said that. Rabbi Schechter told me that after Rabbi Goren came and he said that, and then Rabbi Soloveitchik didn't always comment on speakers, but he gave a whole shiur to reject what Rabbi Goren said. Yeah. Okay. So this is the raya for this whole shtickle Torah, which is really just fascinating for our connection to Eretz Yisrael. So the Gemara says, just to finish up, Rabbi Chanina and Rabbi Oshia have a kamishtakid Rabbi Yochanan lemismechinu. Rabbi Chanina and Rabbi Oshia, the last of the wide lines, Rabbi Yochanan was trying very hard to give them smicha. Lo have a mistaya milsa. It never worked out. It just never worked out. We saw this Gemara last year because there's a machlokes rishonim. Why was it lo mistaya have a milsa? Rashi learns lo mistaya have a milsa that what? He couldn't find two other people to be saimech with him. Why couldn't he find two other people to be saimech with him? Rashi's of the Shita as well as the Yad Ramah, because it's not enough to have just one Samach to grant Smicha. All three have to be Smuchim in order to grant Smicha, because you need a Bezdin. So therefore, what's Loi Havim Stayim Milsa? Yeah, Vada, there were people that he could pull out of the supermarket. But he couldn't get another Samach that actually could help him in this area. The problem is, Shitas HaRambam. Rambam, we pointed out, holds Smicha. You can have a Bezdin even if you don't have all of them Smicha. And when it comes to giving Smicha, you only need one of them to be a Samach, Ish Mipi Ish by Moshe Rabbeinu. Because the Rambam Shita is that Smicha, as we pointed out many times, that the Rambam Shita is that Smicha is not a halacha in Bezdin. I could have a Bezdin and I can accomplish Geirus Bizman Hazeh even though I don't have Samach. Bezdin is Bezdin, and Smicha is for Psak. Smicha is for another root. Smicha is something else. And therefore the Rambam can mix and match. The Rambam can hold, I can have a Bezdin for Smicha, where only two of them are a regular Bezdin, and one of them is the one carrying on that special authority in Psak from Moshe Rabbeinu. So the Rambam is going to have a little bit of a difficult time explaining this Gemara. What's Loi Havim Stayim Milsa? He couldn't find two other guys to join up with him. For whatever reason, the Rambam understands that it was Loi Stayim Milsa. Having come Mitzvah Tuva, and he was very upset, like Mori pointed out before. Amru Lei Loi Nitztar. So he tried to make his Rebbe feel better. Don't be upset. The honor me the base Eli, because I'm actually a descendant from Eli, and I can't get Smicha anyways. The Amar Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachman Rabbi Nosson Menayin Shein Nismachon LeBeis Eli Shnemar Lo Yezkan Beischa Kol Hayamim Ma'izkan Ilim Izkan Mamish. Doesn't mean that you're not going to have elders from the descendants of Eli. Vaksiv Kol Mar Bez Beischa Yamusu Anoshim. We already know that they're going to die young, so we don't need another pasuk to tell us that they're going to die young. Elowat, it means smicha. Not only is Eli's descendants going to die young, but rather they're not going to be smuchim. So therefore, he told him that he shouldn't be upset because I'm a descendant of Eli, and therefore I'm not able to get smicha anyways. So the fascinating Maharsha that I think is very relevant and with this will close. Maharsha asks if he wasn't able to give him smicha. An interesting question to Maharsha. Maharsha says if he wasn't able to give him smicha, so why did the Gemara call it Reb Chanina and Reb Yoshia? They didn't get smicha. The Gemara tells us that the process of smicha is not to put the hand on, but rather to call them Rebbe. So why are you giving them smicha? So there's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine that Bizman Hazeh, I don't know if there's this new shtick that the guys who are cool in high school, the way they approach their Rebbe is they say Rav. They say Rav. Rav, I have this question, Rav. I tell them straight that I don't want them to call me Rav. I'd like you to call me Rebbe. Not because I need you to be my Rebbe, but it teaches them that there's a certain shaykhus. So it's fascinating that this is the hanacha. It's from high school. It comes Rav, and sometimes it's Yo Rav, sometimes it's Hey Rav. It goes all Rav. So the Maharsha says here, it's a mistake. It wasn't Rebbe Chanina, Rebbe Yoshia. It was Rav Chanina, Rav Yoshia, and that was a raya that they weren't really musmachim, because they called them Rav. Rav was something that was only relevant for Bavel, for Chutz La'aretz. To be a Rebbe, that you need smicha. Zakt Maharsha. That's what the Gemara meant earlier to mamish be smicha. What's a raya that you give smicha? To call them Rebbe Chanina, Rebbe Yoshia. In the Gemara, we have to be Goris in our Gemara, call them Rav Yoshia, Rav Chanina, and that's a raya that it's not really a Rav and that there's not some connections. This Maharsha was mamish misnabe to what the generations in the future would see. The difference between Rav and Rebbe already exists in this Gemara. Yeshkaya.